Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and on behalf of our town, welcome to the 2020 Wappinger Town Inauguration Ceremony here at the historic Anthony Renta Theater in Wappingers Falls Junior High School. My name is Joey Cavassini, and I have the honor and pleasure of serving you as your town historian since I was 12 years old. And most recently, I was elected to serve the residents of the 15th Legislative District as your Dutchess County legislator. Thank you. On behalf of our town government, I'd like to thank you for coming out today, as well as the Wappinger Central School District for being such great neighbors and allowing us to use this beautiful space for our community celebration here today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to begin our program this evening, I'd like to bring up members of our local Boy Scout community to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Where are they? There we go. Okay. Come on. Yeah.
All right.
Scout salute. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd also, please remain standing. I'd also like to ask for a moment of silence for someone who is a passionate member of our community and unfortunately just passed away on New Year's Day, one day after his 85th birthday. Our town's former Greenway chairman, Joseph J. Ennisser. Thank you. If you could please remain standing. For our country's national anthem, sung by Houstonville resident Jennifer Prophy.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And if you could please remain standing. Thank you, Jennifer. For the Reverend Dr. Edward L. Hunt from the Bethel Missionary Baptist Church in the village of Wappingers Falls. Reverend.
Let us center ourselves as we make ready to pray. God of all faiths, we come from far and near to this place of learning to ask your blessings for our town supervisor, Dr. Thurston, and those who have been elected to office. Lord, bless them as they take their esteemed oath. We ask that you, dear God, be with each one according to their needs. We pray that you, Lord, would bless the families of our leaders and every household in our community. And then we ask that you would bless the brave men and women that protect our communities and nation. We pray this prayer according to our faith, saying thank you, dear God. Amen.
Thank you. You may be seated. Ooh. All right. Nearly 8 years ago, I began my public service career within the town of Wappinger government when I was first appointed to the office of the town historian, while I was actually in 7th grade here in this very building. And it is very humbling for me to return here today and be sworn in this building when it all began, when I was a student, when it all began. Anyone who knows me has come to find out that I have a love for the town of Wappinger. A little too much sometimes, but what started as a love and passion for local history developed and transformed into a love and passion for our Wappinger community. This town has much to be proud of. Wappinger is a community whose foundation is built on heroism, innovation, and prosperity, which has allowed this town to grow and succeed. This past November, you, the people of the town of Wappinger, overwhelmingly came out on Election Day in support of your town representatives. I'd like to introduce you, or reintroduce you, to some of our neighbors, our elected officials who are being sworn in today, in addition to myself. Representing the 1st Ward, which includes Houstonville, Middlebush, the northern Route 9 corridor, and 3/4 of the village of Wappingers Falls since 2007, the senior councilman on the Wappinger Town Board. Please give a round of applause for Councilman William H. Beal. Representing the 2nd Ward, the southern section of the town, which consists of the Chelsea Hamlet, the Fleetwood Subdivision, Osborne Hill Road, Smithtown, Eck Road, Whitegate and Pavilion Complex, the Swartettville Hamlet, and the southern part of the Route 9 corridor. Please show your appreciation for Councilwoman Angela Patina. From the 3rd Ward, which includes the middle portion of our town, including the part of the Myers Corners Hamlet, Rockingham Farms, Kendall Farms, Fieldstone, Angel Brook, the Regency, Quiet Acres, Wildwood, Oakwood Knolls, and the Shamrock Hills subdivisions. Please give a round of applause for Councilman Christopher Phillips. From the 4th Ward, the northern part of our town, which consists of the New Hackensack Hamlet, part of the Myers Corners Hamlet, the Hudson Valley Regional Airport, Royal Ridge, Edge Hill Manor. Please give a round of applause for newly elected Councilman Al Casella. He served the town for over 20 years as an elected official fighting for what's right. He's our town clerk, Joseph P. Paloni. He was one of the longest serving employees for our town highway department, and now he's been elected to its top spot. Show your appreciation for our newly elected Superintendent of Highways, Michael J. Sheehan. I have the honor of serving with these two amazing women now on the county legislature. Representing parts of the town of Wappinger, East Fishkill, and LaGrange, County Legislator for District 15, Donna Bolner. And representing part of the town of Wappinger and the village of Wappingers Falls, County Legislator from the 14th District, Lisa Paloni. And it is an absolute honor for me to introduce a man who has done so much for this town in 2 years and truly cares about our community. You'll be hearing from him later our Wappinger Town Supervisor, the Honorable Richard L. Thurston. Also in attendance this evening, representing Governor Andrew Cuomo, Dylan Mayoshi. Representing Senators Sue Serino, Lydia Bisco. Representing County Executive Marcus J. Molinaro, Ron Hicks, Assistant Dutchess County Executive. Representing the Chairman of the Dutchess County Legislature, Greg Pulver, we have Nick Joseph, Assistant to the County Chairman. From the town of Hyde Park in northern Poughkeepsie, we have County Legislator Will Truitt as well. Town of Wappinger Deputy Supervisor Kevin Hathorn. Town of Wappinger GOP Chairwoman Donna Teresi. Town of Wappinger Democratic Chairwoman Robin Licari. Democratic Commissioner for the Dutchess County Board of Elections, Beth Soto. Vice Chairman of the New York State Independence Party, Dennis Zak. Newly elected Town of Fishkill Town Supervisor, Ozzy Abra. Town of East Fishkill Supervisor, Nick Del Sandro. His wife, Judy Del Sandro, who's the chairwoman of Dutchess Tourism. Former town supervisor, Barbara Gutzler. Bridget Gannon, president of the Grinnell Public Library District. And Rob Rubin, WCSD Board of Education member. Oh. And last but not least, certainly last but not least, how could I even have him last? But we saved the best for last, our Dutchess County Sheriff, Adrian Butch Anderson. To continue with our program, I would like to introduce probably the most active and vibrant community leaders in our county. She has broken glass ceilings time and time again and advocated on the side of history and humanity. We are proud to call her a Wappinger resident, as she calls the Chelsea Hamlet her home. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for our guest speaker, the President General of the National Society of the Daughters of American Revolution, Denise Van Buren.
Well, as you can imagine, after listening to that litany of elected officials who are here, it's a little intimidating to speak to all of you on this auspicious occasion. Most of you are wondering why Joey introduced me as he did, or you see my title in the program because you're used to thinking of me of that woman you love to hate when your lights are out, right? Let's all admit it, right? I had just concluded a 26-and-a-half-year career with Central Hudson, just retired on January the 1st. And I did so because in June, I was elected as the National President General of the Daughters of the American Revolution. Many of you may recognize the name of our organization. We own an entire city block in Washington, D.C., a museum, a library, and the largest performing arts venue in the district, about a 4,000-seat auditorium. But the DAR that I know is the DAR that I joined in 1988 here in Southern Dutchess County, Melzinga chapter, which since 1954, for example, has owned and operated the Madam Bread Homestead in the city of Beacon. It's the oldest building in Dutchess County. DAR has approximately 186,000 members in 3,000 chapters around the world. During the next 3 years, I will be visiting all 50 states and 12 foreign countries, representing DAR in the town of Wappinger. So it's a little intimidating, but you can begin to imagine why I retired from Central Hudson to fulfill my duties. So DAR is composed of women who are all descended from the patriots who won American independence during our American Revolution. We have, as I said, about 186,000 members, and we were founded in 1890 for the promotion of 3 ideals, and we have stayed true to those same 3 ideals for more than 125 years. They are historic preservation, education, and patriotism. And it's because of the final tenet, patriotism, that I was so very pleased to be invited by Dick to be able to share some thoughts with you today on this auspicious occasion of the oath of office ceremony for our local town officials. You might recognize patriotism as love of country. That's what most people probably think about. Unfortunately, I think sometimes, however, that love of country has become unfashionable in our lifetimes. But for those of us who remember the days that followed September the 11th, 2001, I'm certain you know what it means to be patriotic. Yes, we all flew flags, and our congressional representatives even held hands and joined in singing God Bless America on the steps of the Capitol. But more important, as a people, we were united, we were one, and we were Americans first and foremost. As Americans, we of course recognize that our nation is imperfect. It is, after all, conceived and composed of mere mortals. But even with its faults and its fissures, it remains as what President Lincoln called the last best hope of Earth. Our civilization, if you have any doubt, is indeed the envy of the world, and even with our political bickering, which seems to drown out so many other voices as of late, we remain the foremost example of a self-governing democracy and a republic in the history of mankind. Free elections are the mechanism that provide us with the power to chart our own destiny, to make changes. Nowhere is that more important than here on the local level. And so I gather with you today to applaud our neighbors who have stepped forward to serve the rest of us. Surely they are not doing it for the salary, I suspect, nor the glory. Is that why you're in this? The glory of it? Probably not, right? They do it, there's a lot of laughter here from Angela Bettina. Why do they do it? They do it to make our town, Wappinger, better and our greater community an even better place to live. In taking their solemn oath of office today, they will pledge to place Wappinger's interests above their own, to navigate neighborhood and hamlet issues for the very best outcome, to wade into disputes that might be unpopular, to seek consensus on projects that will impact the local residents of both today and tomorrow. So each of us here owes them a debt of gratitude for accepting the oversight of our collective good. But now we must do our part as citizens to support and to engage with them. And so I encourage each of you here today to use this new year to recommit to the rights and the responsibilities of U.S. citizenship and life here in the town of Wappinger. Now, according to the U.S. Citizen and Immigration Services, there are 7 rights that are provided to those who seek citizenship in the United States of America. Freedom to express yourself. Freedom to worship as you wish. The right to a prompt, fair trial by jury. The right to vote in elections for public officials. The right to apply for federal employment that requires U.S. citizenship. The right to run for elected office, and according to the United States Immigration Services, also the freedom to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Equally, if not as important, however, are those rights, which we often hear so much. We should remember that along with U.S. citizenship come some responsibilities, and they include support and defense of the United States Constitution. I ask you, when was the last time you read the U.S. Constitution? Truly read it, perhaps not since school. To participate in the democratic process, to respect and to obey federal, state, and local laws, to respect the rights and the beliefs and the opinions of others. This might be a little unpopular, but this is a responsibility to pay income and other taxes honestly and on time to federal, state, and local authorities. To serve on a jury if we are called upon to do so. To defend our country if the need should arise. And finally, according to U.S. immigration, 2 final responsibilities we have as U.S. citizens: to stay informed of the issues that affect your community and to participate in your local community. So I'm sending you home with an assignment today, and that is to read the U.S. Constitution so that you can be a better informed U.S. citizen. And I'd also like you to look up something called the American's Creed, and perhaps recommit yourself as a citizen to what it stands for, and I'm going to try and do it from memory today to conclude my remarks. I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed, a democracy in a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and to defend it against all enemies. So in closing, I ask you to join me in not only congratulating our elected officials today who take this solemn oath of office, but I also ask you to pledge yourself to support them and all of our national, state, and local officials in their important work. They folks can't do it without us. Very best wishes for a successful term in office. Thank you.
So before we add our sheriff to the speaking program real quick, I'd also like to acknowledge East Fishkill Town Justice Rick Romig is in attendance, as well as Town of Poughkeepsie Councilman Jeff Ranahan. So if we could get a round of applause for them as well. So our Dutchess County Sheriff, Adrian Butch Anderson, could come on up and say a few words, and then we'll start our oath of office ceremony. So Adrian Butch Anderson, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon. Come on, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sheriff.
It's a great day. Joey, you've done a great job. All those that have not been introduced, please stand. I was asked to say a few words when I walked in by the supervisor, and I cannot deny him. Brian, our singer in the beginning, what a great show was put on. The Scouts, congratulations. We look at our first responders, the police, 9/11, all great people here in Wappinger. I'm proud to be here. I don't know what I'm gonna say. I know most of them. Al Cassell, I know personally, Al, but there's a few I'd like to say a few words about, and it'll only take a second. Now, I want to say congratulations, naturally, to Richard. Bill Beal, I have nothing to say about. Angela, Chris, Al, I told you I know personally. Joe, Carl, Heather, Michael. I know them all, Lisa, Joe, Donna Bolner, our county legislators. Ladies and gentlemen, they're our bosses. They're the ones that listen. They have common sense. It doesn't matter what party you're with, whether you're a Republican, Democrat, Independents, Conservatives. You have to work together. You have to put aside the bickering that's going on in Washington and Albany. Put it aside. Look at the people that are representing you. They're good people. Everyone has a right to run for office. Everyone has different opinions. And it's good for us to listen to them. I'm gonna brag a little bit. In this year's election, I received over 48,000 votes. I was very proud, very honored. It's because of the men and women I work with. We're from all walks of life. We have different opinions, different ideas. They're brought to me every day. I hate to tell you this, but I've been with the sheriff's office for 50 years. It's a long time. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. the good outweighs the bad, by far. Is that Helen from Morella out there?
Yes, it is.
Helen. Even though Helen drinks heavily, I would like to say that it's great to see you. Sorry to interrupt what I was about to say. I never know what I'm about to say, but it's nice to see you, Helen. And I heard about all the people that were introduced here today. They're good people. They were elected officials at one time, and they gave the best that they possibly can. And that's what you have to deal with. We have the press here today, good, bad, or indifferent. They print what they feel is their opinion. You have to either accept it or just turn your cheek and go on about your day. I usually turn my cheek and go out and go about my way. But the things that have been going on, Wappinger, you're very fortunate to have great people. I want to say a couple words before I get to Dick. I want to tell you 4 things to remember. There are 4 things that you can never get back, and you should think about them. Number 1, the occasion, once it's missed. Number 2 is time, once it goes by. Number 3 is the stone when we cast it. You can't get it back. And I feel one of the most important things is the word once it's said. It's very important, those 4 things. But the word once it's said, you can't take it back. It's too late to say I'm sorry. So bickering has no place for us here. This is a good community. Your leader, Dick, he's objective, integrity, second to none. He's loyal, and one thing I've seen, he's very proud of his Wappingers. He's very proud. And he has a love for the job and for the people. So ladies and gentlemen, I wish all these candidates, except for Bill Beal, all the luck that I can possibly offer. If there's anything I can ever do for you, call the state police. They'll help. Final thing, sit down, Joey.
All right.
Final thing, I have another occasion I have to go to, and I will not miss it. When I became sheriff, I wanted unity in law enforcement because there wasn't unity. I wanted unity. That's the only way to get ahead, is when we all work together. The state police, the towns, the villages, the cities, everybody, all the men and women work together. You'll find that if you join forces, you're stronger than you'll ever think. To all of you, good luck. God bless you. And I have another occasion. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Sheriff, even though you told me to sit down, but I will not take, I will take orders from a man who runs the sheriff's office. I will take orders from him. I think everyone will. Will not disregard that. All right, so we're going to start our oath of office ceremony, and we're going to invite Councilman William Beal up. He's actually invited Village Justice Raymond C. Chase to swear him in, and then after that, we will have our town justice, Heather Kitchen, swear in the rest of our town elected officials. So Judge, if you could come up. Aaron, I assume? Yep. All right.
What do you want to do, it over here or over there?
Yeah, probably right.
Over here?
Yeah, right in front that way. You stand right on that side there. And then Judge, could you stand? I want to take a picture.
I state your name.
I, William H. Beal,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office
of the office of Councilman, Ward 1, Town of Wappinger,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Going back there, I just want to say a couple things. Reverend Hunt, and within many years, I always tell him this, Reverend, I'm the judge, I take care of these small things here on earth, he reports to the big judge. And I want him to pray that I always do a prayer.
Thank you, Judge. Certainly an honor to stand here at the Anthony L. Renta Theater, where I got my start in theater, and to look out into the audience and see Rosemary Evall, who has been leading the theater program in the Wappinger Central School District for many decades. She deserves a round of applause for the hard work that she does. Also, shout out again to Helen Fumarello, who I consider the matriarch of the town of Wappinger, former Deputy Town Supervisor, Helen Fumarello. As I begin a new term in this town, I would like to personally thank my parents for their continued support. During this last term, many of you know my mother faced a serious medical challenge, which we continue to deal with today. My father, a former elected county legislator who represented many of the areas that I represent today, has stepped up and provides care for my mother daily. My father was my inspiration to first run for office, and he continues to be my #1 critic. The strength of my parents speaks volumes, and I greatly appreciate their attendance here today. A round of applause, please, for my parents. My wife, Erin, has been my rock. As a decorated police sergeant who has faced many physical challenges herself after being hit head-on by a drunk driver in her police car, she has shown strength on more levels than I can put into words. During this last term, our most proudest moment was being blessed with the birth of our son, Liam Patrick Beal. I thank you, Erin, for your love and compassion, and our son. Your incredible ability to balance all the moving parts in our lives is second to none. It is certainly an honor and a privilege to stand before my family and the residents of our town again today and attest to the very important words of this oath of office, an oath that we all should take very seriously, and we do in this town. I've been blessed to have been sworn in 8 times as councilman by several members of our county's prestigious judiciary. But today, I had the honor of raising my right hand in front of a true legend. Village of Wappinger Falls Justice Raymond C. Chase Jr. has been a justice longer than I've been on this earth. 43 years he's been a justice, and I'm 43 years old. Prior to his impressive tenure in the village, Justice Chase served our nation in military service and went on to serve our veterans as commander of the American Legion. For decades, Justice Chase has led Memorial Day and Veterans Day services in our village and town, year after year after year. In fact, I cannot remember a time when he wasn't at the podium, ever. For his unprecedented service to our town and entire community, I would ask that the town board join me in recognizing the Honorable Raymond C. Chase, Jr. If the town board could step forward. The Honorable Raymond C. Chase, Jr., Village of Wappinger Falls Justice, in recognition of outstanding service to our town and the entire community. From your military service on behalf of our nation to your service to our nation's veterans as commander of the American Legion Post 427, to your over 4 decades of service as a leader in Dutchess County's judiciary. The residents of the town of Wappinger are forever grateful. presented at this inauguration ceremony, January 4th, 2020. Round of applause for the judge. Congratulations.
Do I have more than 2 minutes?
Just give me one. Go ahead.
He always tells me I have only 2 minutes, but I've just graciously extended another 30 seconds to that. Well, take all the time you need.
Well, first of all, is that I'm a native here of Wappinger Falls. And the only time I got on this stage is when Ben Ingram, who was the principal, made sure that I was doing the right things. But the service that you look at, and it's amazing me that it's been 40 years. It's 43. And the only thing I can tell you is what my father used to tell me. Do not be afraid, and don't let your heart grow cold. And make sure that you're a good citizen of the United States of America. Thank you.
Just in conclusion, and I apologize for going over my time limit, Joey.
Nope.
I just want to formally recognize a member of our last town board who served our town for 4 terms. Outgoing Councilman Michael Kuzmas was elected to the town board in 2011 after serving 2 years on the town's zoning board of appeals. Having served beside him for the past 8 years, I have a great appreciation for his passion toward improving our recreational facilities and programs. Unfortunately, Councilman Kuzmas was unable to attend, but in recognition of serving 4 terms totaling 8 years of elected service, we are recognizing him for his outstanding service to the town of Wappinger, ensuring that recreational facilities such as Martz Field, Slaughterhouse Park, and Robinson Lane Baseball Complex were expanded, and recreational and community programs servicing our residents were further developed and improved. A round of applause as we will present this at the next appropriate time to the councilman, outgoing Councilman Kuzmas. Thank you.
From the 2nd Ward, Councilwoman Angela Bettina, please step forward, and our Town Justice Heather Kitchen.
Wait, why don't you come over
Wait,
here?
you want me to come over here?
Only because I only have 2 arms. So if I were a spider, we could do this. Oh, you want to do? All right.
Unless
I just don't have enough hands.
Here,
I can probably figure this out. Whoops. Oh.
Okay, yes, I'm height. I have a height problem with everything that's going on here, so. But I do want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank my family, my friends, my constituents for re-electing me for a 2nd term. We live in a great community. We do so much better when we work together. I wish everybody a wonderful new year, all successes, and let us all work together to make it an even better community than what we have. I look forward to working with everybody, and let's hope for a better year. Thank you very much, and a shout out to everybody that did come here today in this awful weather. So thank you.
3rd Ward Councilman Christopher Phillips and your family.
room closes in on me here. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great honor for me to be elected to serve the 3rd Ward as the councilman. I'm truly grateful for those who voted for me and believed in me, and I look forward to serving and working for you for the next 2 years. I'm committed to continuing the work we have started and develop policies and services that best serve our town. I'd like to thank my fellow board members, Bill, Angela, Al, and our supervisor, Dick Thurston, for their support and helping me get started in this endeavor. I'd like to thank the Town of Wappinger's Republican Committee for their support, the County Executive, Marcus Molinaro, Sue Serino, Kieran Laylor, and our Sheriff for their help, words of wisdom, and support. More importantly, I want to thank my wife, Lynn, for all her encouragement, confidence that she's instilled in me, and putting up with the long hours of meetings, campaigns, and phone calls that never seem to end. I don't think they will, but I'd also like to thank my son, Sean, who's here, and the rest of my family who supported me all the way. I believe we have a great town, and I'm truly committed to do my part to make it better. Thank you again.
Fourth Ward Councilman Al Casella and your family.
I, Al Casella, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge my duties as town councilman to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations.
Okay, my turn. Good afternoon, and thank you for coming to our inauguration today. What a great crowd. Thank you very much for coming. I'll make this brief, as my fellow board members have done as well. First, let me thank the voters of the 4th Ward for the opportunity to represent them. Without their support, I would not be here today, so thank you very much. Next, I want to thank my wife, Tony. This is a family decision, and my wife was behind me 110%. This was a long election cycle. As you know, it started back in February of 2019 with petitions, through the primary in June, and of course then through the election on November 5th, so about a 9-month process. Funny thing is my wife still does talk to me after all that. They say behind every good man is a great woman, and that's my wife, Tony. Thank you, dear. Next, I want to thank my son, Daniel, my daughter, Amanda, my daughter-in-law, Brittany, for the love and support while running for office. They offered encouragement, advice throughout the process. So again, thank you all very much. I appreciate that. I just have a few more thank yous, so I'll be brief. I'd also like to thank Sheriff Butch Anderson, Senator Sue Serino, County Executive Mark Molinaro, Assemblyman Kieran Lawler, Councilman Mike Kuzmis, and my walking buddy, Dutchess County Legislator Donna Bollner. Without their support, I wouldn't be here as well. I will tell you that they all, from day one, told me whatever you need, we're there for you, and they delivered, so thank you very much. I really appreciate your support. Next, I would also like to congratulate Highway Superintendent Michael Sheehan. I'd like to congratulate Judge Carl Wilson, Dutchess County Legislator Donna Bollner, Dutchess County Legislator Lisa Paoloni, and of course, Joey Cavassini, Legislator Council District 15. So again, congratulations to all. I'd also like to say now, I'd like to also congratulate my fellow board members. It's going to be a pleasure working with them. I know them all, so Councilman Bill Beal, Councilwoman Angela Bettina, Councilman Chris Phillips, and of course, our Supervisor Dick Thurston. I look forward to working with all of you. We have a lot of projects that were started in 2019. We have many more that are going to be in 2020. I look forward to engaging again with the board, ensuring that the projects are successful. Again, this will help out our town, and again, I look for that as well. In closing, I'd like to say to the residents of the town, I work for all the people, as Butch said before. It's not one particular party. I'm here because of everybody in this audience today, so I thank you very much for that. I am accessible. My email address is on the town website, as well as my phone number. If there's any issues at all, I encourage you to reach out to me, and I will respond. Thank you, have a great afternoon, and enjoy the refreshments. Thank you.
Our Wappinger Town Clerk, Joseph P. Paloni, and his daughter, Ashley.
Repeat after me. I, Joseph P. Paloni.
I, Joseph P. Paloni.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the State of New York.
The Constitution of the State of New York.
That I will faithfully discharge.
And that I will faithfully discharge.
My duties as town clerk.
My duties as town clerk.
To the best of my ability, so help me God.
To the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
Newly elected Superintendent of Highways, Michael J. Sheehan.
Repeat after me. I, Michael J. Sheehan.
I, Michael J. Sheehan.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Solemnly swear to support
Defend
and defend
the Constitution of the United
the
States.
Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the State of New York.
The Constitution of the State of New York.
And that I will faithfully discharge.
And I will faithfully discharge
My duties.
my duties
As Highway Superintendent.
as Highway Superintendent
To the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Dutchess County Legislator, Donna Bollner. Please come on.
Okay, repeat after me. I, Donna Bollner. I, Donna Bollner. Do solemnly swear. Do solemnly swear. That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the State of New York. And the Constitution of the State of New York. And that I will faithfully discharge. And that I will faithfully discharge my duties as county legislator. My duties as county legislator for District 13. To the best of my ability, so help me God. To the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations.
Dutchess County Legislator, District 14, Lisa Paloni.
Repeat after me. I, Lisa Paloni. Do solemnly swear. That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. That I will support and defend the
Well, this is a special moment for our town, especially for those that have been here for the past 10 plus years, to see this individual grow from someone that simply came to town board meetings to try to get involved, to an individual that involved himself in several organizations within our town, was subsequently appointed junior historian to our town. Then when he was 18, he was appointed town historian. Ladies and gentlemen, being sworn in as Dutchess County legislator, show your appreciation for the Honorable Joseph D. Cavassini.
Repeat after me. I, Joseph D. Cavaccini,
I, Joseph B. Cavassini,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
my duties as county legislator
my duties as county legislator
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce and call up for his second oath of office, our town supervisor, Dr. Richard L. Thurston.
Repeat after me. I, Richard L. Thurston,
I, Richard L. Thurston,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
my duties
my duties
as town supervisor
as town supervisor
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, giving his second inaugural address, our Wappinger Town Supervisor, Richard L. Thurston. Ladies and gentlemen. I'll get you water. I'll get you water.
The judge said I only have 1 minute and 30 seconds because he took my 30 seconds. No, I'm just joking. And I apologize. I will go longer than 2 minutes, okay? I want to thank everyone for coming out to this fabulous event. We, decided that we wanted to have really a community event, and community that extends beyond the town of Wappinger, as you can see by so many different people that are here, and really honored to have a lot of friends from throughout the area, friends of all of us, actually. And it was really a great honor that the sheriff was able to take time out of his busy schedule. But I thank you for coming today. And a special shout out to our residents who have shown great confidence in me and in our leadership in this town. To our Wappinger staff and elected officials who have acknowledged my leadership, but especially have acknowledged and participated in our partnership. And I really believe in that word, partnership. To my family for their support, patience, and understanding, and to my lovely wife, Yvonne, my soulmate and my muse, for being there by my side for 1 year longer than the judge has served as a justice, for her serving nearly 44 years with me. 2020 is not just a new year, and the beginning of a decade. You may not realize, but those four numbers together exemplify both accurate judgment and realistic assessment. Ergo, 2020 vision, 2020 insight. Also, spiritually, and this is for Reverend Hunt and others of our clergy that are here in our face, but also for all of us. The numbers 2020 also symbolize huge potential in the angelic world of numbers. Our responsibility going forward this year is to be accurate in our judgment and realistic in our assessments, to be true to nonpartisan convictions, working for the benefit of the entire community, and our entire community, not just a particular interest group. And last but not least, to unlock the huge potential that Wappinger has. Anything less than full and resolute teamwork and partnership to the betterment of our community will not be accepted by myself nor our constituents. There is no longer any place for fabricated drama and tail spinning that will distract us from the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. Jamil Qureshi, who is a motivational speaker, stated once that we must learn how to dance on a shifting carpet, not see the rug as being pulled from under our feet. Too often people waste time over calculating risks and minimizing their losses. But we do not have the luxury of time for hand-wringing and procrastination any longer. I strongly agree with our county executive, Marcus Molinaro, in saying that we must think differently. But in Wappinger, we must also be about proactively and positively. And I've learned that a lot, especially as I've gotten involved with doing pro bono work, but also through a great friend of our community, Dawn Nassi, who has been a champion of ASD, of taking care of those youth and adults that are in special need. This is what our town and our town board is all about. But in Wappinger, we must, in acting proactively, I always go back to something that George Herbert wrote. He wrote this back in 1640, and the work that he wrote it in, I can't pronounce it. It's something like Jucula Prudentium or something. So whoever knows Latin, Bill, maybe you can help me out. Liam can look at that. But George Herbert wrote, "To him that will, ways are not wanting." By 1820, it had been ordered to where there's a will, there's a way. Throughout my career, I have lived by and will continue to be guided by this proverb. Arising from the voices of our concerned citizens, residents, businesses, all of which we heard, all of us heard, during the fall election season, our will and way in Wappinger must focus on certain key initiatives, including, and this is just the short list of a long list that we have, creating an even more transparent and inclusive government, most especially through additional town code reform and by establishing more diverse and inclusive membership on our respective boards, communities, and organizations. And if there's any person out here or people out here today that would like to volunteer their services to be on the zoning board, the planning board, the board of ethics, our recreation arts committee, please let me know. We welcome that, and we welcome the diversity that our community is so blessed by. Ensuring and expanding the continued availability of quality town water and services is very much on our agenda, at the top of it, really. Lest we forget, only 1/2 of our town is served by town water and sewer. If even that, in some cases, it's a little bit less. We must explore water and sewer interconnection options both with our neighboring communities, with Dutchess County, as well as through our partnership, which many people don't realize, our partnership with the City of New York. Another focus is promoting more environmentally sensitive policies, programs, and initiatives, such as by creating fully integrated park, trail planning, development, management, and facility remediation. through a much more targeted recreation fee allocation. Mr. Hran owes me some resolutions and stuff on that, but we intend to really change the way that we have funded a lot of that, in part because that's why Mr. Hran's involved, because of lawsuits, both in our town and elsewhere. But this is very important to the continued sustainable growth of our community. Also, as I've gone on record, and the board is in agreement, I believe, that we will implement some sort of conservation pricing for our water and sewer rates and services during this coming year. Promoting more strategically our small businesses, organizations, and historical hamlets. We have 6 historical hamlets as the young historian here, and he is still quite young and a lot to learn, but he's done a tremendous service to our community. Our historical hamlets through revisions of the relevant sections of our town plan. Creation of historical overlays. You'll be hearing more about that in the months ahead. Expansion of sustainable development and promotion of Wappinger without the S, as you've always heard me say. In other words, Wappinger proud is our tagline that we use. More interactive engagement with our county, and the county executive and staff is fully on board with this, creating sustainable development infrastructure and services. For example, around the airport. And I truly expect much help from legislators Bollner, Paoloni, and Cavazzini in the months and years ahead. And last, but by no means least, and this has really been important to me, close cooperation with our neighboring communities, such as the Village. Mayor Matt, I don't think he's come yet, but he was going to be a little bit late. But also East Fishkill, Nick D'Alessandro, and I and our boards and community working together so closely. I've only for a short period of time come to know, town supervisor of the town of Fishkill, Ozzie Albra, but already we have really, I think, connected Ozzie. And I'm looking forward to working with you on our southern border, your northern border. There's a lot that needs to be done. And then, and we look at other things that are county, state, and town related. The highway superintendent is going to have a lot on his plate that he doesn't even realize yet. But we have to address our growing transportation logjams through new infrastructure initiatives, such as the county's, although somewhat dreaded, the impact, but the county's major change, major remediation of an old turnpike, known as Old Hopewell Road. That was, and still remains on the books as a turnpike. That is just beginning. More must be done on routes 9 and 9D. We're taking a leadership role along with East Fishkill and the town of Poughkeepsie on doing something more about 9 and Route 9D. We can no longer tolerate those logjams. I assure you, we are talking about that. We must add sidewalks and crosswalks along Route 9 and beyond the village boundaries, which are in our town, but going south toward Adams. That is another high priority. And something that actually I haven't talked with our board about, but I believe is very important. We must somehow, in working with the county and the state, find a way to interconnect Route 376 with Robinson Lane. To me, although I like East Fishkill, I hate going through it so many times, Nick. We have to find a way, to improve upon that. There are many more items, as I said, on the list, but I would be remiss not to note our ongoing efforts to support our veterans, our residents with special needs, to work with the Wappinger Central School District, and we are working very closely with them, as you can see by them allowing us to use this building, today. And our youth organizations, which working with the school, but also ourselves on the board, such as our scouting program. I mean, the scouting program and the several troops that we have. How many do we have, Bill, in the town?
Probably at least, 4, Tom?
4 troops? Just a tremendous resource that we have in promoting the future of the democracy and patriotism that Denise, and thank you again for coming, talked about and really, I think, inspired us. Today, as we enter the new decade, the town of Wappinger, in partnership with everyone in this room and up here on this stage, and many others, must embark on a forward-looking journey that continues to be resilient, fiscally responsible, and exemplifies the spirit of working in harmony while continuing to achieve substantive accomplishments. Before closing, I'm glad that Joey actually recognized Joe Enizer, so I won't ask us to bow our heads in a moment of silence for Joe, since that was done, although I'm certainly we'll be recognizing him more. But I would like us to bow our heads in a moment of silence, in prayer for our young men and women, both who have been deployed and the massive number of young men and women who are now being deployed, including residents in our town and one member of our town staff. Please bow your heads in just a moment of silence for their health, safety, and well-being. Thank you to them who are really protecting and overlooking our democracy. God bless them, and God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Supervisor Thurston, and thank you all for coming out today. Really, really means a lot to myself and everyone up here today. If we could bring up the Reverend Dr. Edward L. Hunt from the Bethel Missionary Baptist Church to lead us in the benediction. Thank you. Please rise.
I am extremely grateful that I have been given the opportunity to be here. I have learned a very valuable lesson in life, and thank God I learned it at an early age. I was going to Manhattan College, and I was on the verge of being thrown out because I couldn't pay the tuition. I got a job in the hospital as an orderly, trying to make ends meet because I had a poor family. A man came into the hospital at night, and everybody thought he was a bum. Nobody cared for him. I helped him to wash. I shaved him. And I gave him half of my lunch. A couple of days later, they found out that he was extremely wealthy. I wouldn't take anything from him, but he paid for my education. Please, never underestimate anyone. Treat everyone with respect and love. If you could just put your hand on your neighbor's shoulder. Dear God, this is our community. Bless and keep us. Watch over us. Help us to be one. And if we remain one, we will never be broken. We can see nothing but greatness. Thank you, God. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you so much, Reverend. Every time you come to one of our town events, it's just breathtaking. Thank you so much for your words. Thank you. This now concludes our inauguration ceremony. Thank you again for coming out. I'd like to acknowledge again Brian Lammers for his amazing musical performance, which he'll be starting up yet again.
And the food.
And I urge all of you to stay after. We have food right in the hallway, right outside this door, or if you go out the main doors, make a right and another right. We have a beautiful reception provided by several local restaurants in our town. So please stick around, and thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
William?
Make sure you send Bill that picture.
Hey. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.